Okay, let's talk about it. By let's talk about it, I mean Reverend Crystal Cox ramble. You don't want to listen? Not mandatory. Shut the camera off. They have to shut the camera off? I know how it works. Shut it off. Seriously? Okay. So let's talk about Healthier Together. The whole Healthier Together plan for the pool and aquatic center and all that. Have you guys read the documents on that? It sounds really groovy, right? It sounds groovy for a sick society. It sounds groovy for corporate, the same sort of what was brought to you during the pandemic of we love big government, whatever they chose to do, we're going to do. We're not even going to think for ourselves. We love big pharma. We love doctors. The hospital in Port Townsend, what was it? The first time they got like $17 million to upgrade the place. Now, the top people got a lot of that money. There was, a lot of alleged money laundering. When that doctor's office across the way, that building, I forget the name of the building, the Sheridan Clinic, that building sold for like several times above marketplace, and a doctor owned it. Someone told me that like 5 years ago. There's a lot of corruption within Jefferson Healthcare. Now they're getting another wing, right? They always got plenty of money. They got sued for hurting someone's baby. They got a $25 million judgment against them. They got a lot of money during COVID for every person that, they killed. I'm just what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I'm saying. This is me rambling. So what does Healthier Together mean? Okay. Healthier Together means the hive mind, means what they want. It's not the cool and groovy Port Townsend. So it's the big companies, right? So the hospital's like, well, we need a physical place for physical therapy. And so big hospital money, big pharma, the YMCA, so a big franchise. And yeah, they're local, but they got quite a bit of money and a lot of assets, which they hid from Julie Jamon. More on that later. But anyway, so why not the small nonprofits? Why not a pool in every town if you want everybody to be doing great? Why just this healthier together for the people who don't like me, don't like Julie, don't like conservatives, pretty much any conservative, and half the liberals? They don't like them. So you're not going to feel comfortable there. Okay, well, the doctors need it for physical therapy. Okay, so can't they build their own? There's a lot of small businesses for physical therapy. There's small daycares, right? Lots of them. But instead, we're going to lease some school property land for $1 to the YMCA. And they're going to build a daycare and they're going to provide it. Okay? Big money, big companies, move out the little guy. The aquatic center is going to run out the smaller gyms, like the one in the Hadlock area, I forget, Evergreen or whatever, right? I think they did a letter to the editor about, running out small businesses, but it doesn't matter. They're going to do what they want to do. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? Using public property for big corporations. Why not, instead of leasing the property to the YMCA for $1, why not build something there with the grant money that they're going to build it for the YMCA so that it's some sort of a co-op or with like 5 or 6 of the different daycares in town that have different buildings. Maybe you can cover for each other, or, why not support the small people, the small businesses, the small nonprofits? Why you wiping us all out? And then with these big, some call it ideology, whatever, prejudices, bigotry, that you don't want people like me there. You don't want people like Julie there. You don't want people who don't think like you there, but you want all of our tax money. And on that note, real quick, did you see that recently they talked about I think it's KPTZ, the building that they were in for radio? They're looking for a new tenant, right? I think it's like going to be $2 a year. Well, it should be a conservative. I'm not talking about it for politics. I'm talking about diversity. They talk about the Dove House. The Dove House is horrible, horrible. They used to be good back in the day when Julie Jamon was part of, starting it. But what they did to Jenny Ellison, oh my gosh. And the cops are like, she was attacked on a boat, and they're like, oh, well, her claims are unsubstantiated because, she has a mental health problem. Totally discriminated against her, disability, all kinds of stuff. And the Dove House, the man who attacked her, let the Dove House let the guy say where to take her. And then he continued harassing her. They sided against Julie Jamont, even though she was founding it. They didn't side for equal rights for her. So they're part of the group think and the hive mind. So some diversity in the building for $2 a year would be great. Great. Someone who thinks differently. They say they're into diversity and inclusion, but they're not. They exclude a huge amount of liberals they don't like, all conservatives, people who don't vote, people who are not into politics at all, and to favor what they want. And they've harangued the little people that were like rah rah for the little guy into following them over a cliff of big corporation. So when they say healthier together, they mean for them. Big pharma, big hospital, big insurance companies, right? You got physical therapy, the insurance companies are going to pay for it. Mental health, they buy buildings for mental health, but then they enact the things that hurt us with our mental health. Port Townsend's about, what did the Port Townsend leader, the new editor, whatever, did an article, I guess, about a week ago and said there's 400 nonprofits in Port Townsend. So why the YMCA? Why this healthier together for the YMCA? And is there going to be a new police station built? And then Faber brags about the food. Well, the food banks there, and so it'll be great to have affordable housing across the street. What? It's in a temporary spot. So they're going to build a permanent food bank? I mean, what's the deal? The pool property is zoned for education. It was a past school. It should be a future school. Imagine, right, where the pool is now this beautiful school for all ages, maybe an attached pool and basketball court, and across the street, the golf course and then parks, and golf. I don't like golf. I'm not into golf. But it's the only physical thing that the really old and the really young can bond in. Kind of, It's one of them. Get some exercise. So when they say healthier together, read the plan. They mean big corporations, big insurance companies, big pharma, big government, YMCA, big providers of daycare, big providers of gym equipment and physical therapy and all of that, mental health, whatever. They're completely wiping out the cottage industries, the small businesses of Port Townsend. And they're doing it by saying, healthier together. Brotherton was in the paper this week. Well, his conflicts of interest at OLICAP are over the moon. I mean, check out the Port Townsend Free Press article about that. And then that $7 million grant for the building, that apartment building, Seventh Haven or whatever. And then Cherish Cromwell got, her name's still on that. And then they all have, big sex clubs, and they all blackmail each other, and they all get money for them friends, and they all launder the money to each other, and no accountability. And they run all the small people out of business. So I could say, well, this is just my opinion, but duh. I'm the one yapping and rambling, okay? I don't need you to believe me. This is just my thoughts on it. It's my 2 cents, okay? If you give no shits, then move along. What's wrong with your head? Well, it's on a swivel. Okay. So read the documents out there. So search like Healthier Together Port Townsend PDF, or search Healthier Together on the city website and read what it's all about. Let me tell you, it's not about you. Okay? It's about keeping you sick, keeping you hurt. There's no energy healers. There's no Reiki. There's no herbalists. There's no small business. There's no small physical therapy or small mental health counselors or small gyms. It's all about big think, and there's no cure for cancer. Lies, right? There's thousands of cures for cancer. There's always been. I've helped thousands of people over 20 years cure themselves of cancer. Okay? Removed a brain tumor myself with black salve. So the trick there's a cure for every disease, and it starts with this one thing called reading, and not suppressing information. Okay, so how about a library where people can learn about herbs and energy healing and things that really cure, instead of a big Healthier Together to push more pharmaceutical drugs, to push physical therapy, not get to the root trauma of what causes people's disease, not look for cures, just keep the industrial industry alive and call it Healthier Together. No, we're fucking dead together, okay? Did you even notice? You even notice the last 2 years in the paper, all the deaths? In 2020, I had a site with 11,000 people, my Universal Church of Light site. And we were getting mass informations on what the vaccine was doing to people. Women that hadn't had periods, been through menopause, for years, were starting their period. Young women were losing their babies. Women were starting, their periods were stopping. Heart attacks. And we tried to report them, but they censored us, right? So when I'd go on the local health site and talk about some of them or the different upticks in deaths, and they're like, oh, why do you know that? Why do you know that? Well, I got a site with 11,000 people. I follow, read all the stats, read the VAERS, read all the different things. Well, isn't this not true? It's not true. And so you can't look locally and go, well, there's an uptick in death until years later. Well, now there is. I mean, you see all these young people, these men in their 40s, you see all these people dying. It brings back the cancers, fast cancers. Why not buildings with the kind of therapies like oxygen therapy and, B17 and intravenous food grade hydrogen peroxide. And I mean, I could tell you, 100 cures to cancer. Why not buildings for actual healers? Or daycares with people that aren't just of one group hive mind? Why are you taking all the city property and giving it to big corporations and wiping out the little guys? That's what Together is. And that Brotherton sticking up for it, that's just more money for OLECAP, right? Because they get grants based on the amount of people. I was homeless in Port Townsend for 7 years. I went to OLECAP many times. They're very excited about my resume. Oh gosh, she fits this box, she's been to college, she's in this, we're helping these kind of people. Then they get the money and they spend it on staff and overhead and buildings and cars and whatever, and never got me out of homelessness. Okay, I got myself out of it. And then I had help from someone at OLECAP who did this special program in this special time, and just an amazing person. But it was federal stuff I'm not going to get into. But the point is that when they're out there saying healthier together, they want to create more grant money, more, the state gives, like, say the state will give you a certain amount of money for those who are taking care of the homeless. Okay. Well, I applied many times. I actually was. I had my church building out a warming center. I was helping people with the internet to find their families and to do things that actually work besides just some shelter that's Lord of the Flies and TVs going and blaring lights and everybody fighting, right? I stayed there a few times. Oh my God, nightmare. So what I was doing was actually helping people. They hadn't even sat down with them and the internet to help them try to find their family or make a plan. And so I'd apply for grants for my church. They're like, no, someone up there's already doing it. Well, no, they're not. And so, and they pretend, well, we're creating housing. And I'm not talking about Habitat for Humanity. I think they're doing a decent job. I have some beefs with some people there. But the other ones that pretend they're creating housing, they pretend they want to help the homeless and the low income. But really, they're just enacting legislation and stuff so that they get more grants, more money, and they get a wage and they get prestige with their buddies. But they're not going downtown and talking to people in the cars. Okay, you save someone's life, like some of those old people that was at the shelter, just by buying them a radio. I just buy them a radio for their mental health. It's a little $10 radio, old school radio that they wanted. And then they could listen to that and feel like they were connected to the world. Give them a blanket that plugs into the cigarette lighter if they're in the car. Don't call the cops on them when they're sleeping in front of your house. Little things like that to actually help people. They don't go and be around them. It's like, ooh, we just want to talk about how to help them. Couldn't fucking believe it. I this one time, they've had many of the meetings downtown about homeless and housing and what they need and what the, because we're the other. And so, I'm waking up in my car. I'm going down to the Cotton Building, to brush my teeth and, do my morning business and walk right by their big group meeting. And it was funny because they're all in there talking about what we need, and we're all getting out of our cars going into the bathroom. It was so weird, right? Because it's obvious what they need. They need a fucking bathroom. They need a place to shower. They need a place to change. If they're going to have a job, they need a place to be able to, but instead they shut them all down, right? And during COVID, I shut everything down downtown. And I contacted the city over and over. And I said, why are the bathrooms shut? We're still down here, okay? There's a line of people in front of Elevated and ice cream here in Port Townsend. And where do you think they're going to the bathroom at? And finally, then the city brought stuff in. It was like they're so tone deaf. Oh, nobody's out because we're not out. We fucking lived in the car downtown. Okay, I lived down there during COVID. I lived in a car downtown. I became homeless around 2014, and then I got into the car part of it in probably like 2016. It just kind of happened. So they have their meetings about what we need, and we're standing outside the window, could just maybe use a sandwich and a hug or, a place to sit for the day. And then they're running us out of the bathroom. They're running us out of this place and running us out of that place while they're in there deciding what's best for us and getting grant money and paying everybody's wages to be in there. That's healthier together to them. Mental health industrial complex, homeless industrial complex, keeping you sick with the hospital and the insurance money and building all these buildings and changing the zoning of the pool property from a school, upzoning it so they can have a commercial, to have an aquatic center for big healthcare industry, big daycare. That's their healthier together. And then they pretend to get all of your people's input and we listen to you and we value you. No. I see people over and over going, you're shutting our business down. You're wrecking us. You're hurting us. They don't care. They have to act like and look like they're doing public policy, the hearings. And they get their friends and their business associates like Faber, did Paul Rice and that Adrian Pike and then Diamante or whatever. And people that come talk to council meetings. So it looks like they're getting comments pro what they're doing. But really the community is against what they're doing. But they make money from it and so do their friends. So they keep doing it. So that's my 2 cents on healthier together. Healthier together for who? Bye for now.